From the glory days of the NWA to the birth of the WWF's family entertainment era to the Monday Night Wars and the rise of AEW, this is Wayback Wrestlemania, where we cover everything in the professional wrestling world with your hosts, Adam and the Emerald Enthusiast.
Welcome to another episode of Wayback Wrestlemania. As always, I'm your host, Adam. And with me, my co-host, Donnie, Emerald Enthusiast. Donnie, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, wrestling fans? It's the man whose ring runs on fanboy energy. It's the Emerald Enthusiast, and we're back to talk about the granddaddy of them all, Wrestlemania.
Indeed. I was going to say issue because we were talking about comic books earlier, but it's the 39th episode.
Issue number 39.
Issue number 39 of WrestleMania. If they made a comic chronicling all the WrestleManias, I'd buy all 39 issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, WrestleMania 39. We're going to do our review and discussion about that, but also we're going to talk about the storylines that have sprung out of that since we are a couple of weeks removed from WrestleMania, and that's not anybody's fault. It's just scheduling snafus. So, but we're doing it now, and that's all that counts. Better late than never, right? So here we are. All right, so Donnie, where do you want to start with the WrestleMania talk?
Well, we might as well start at the beginning. We know about the big buildup between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. And, of course, we had a number of big matches. We had Rhea Ripley against Charlotte Flair. We had Rey Mysterio inducted into the Hall of Fame. By the way, that was beautiful, with Dominic getting up and acting like a jerk and leaving during his dad's speech. I loved it.
Yeah.
And I just think that they have, WWE, built a lot of good feuds, and we got a lot of good payoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there was any match that I would consider as, the greatest, top 10 WWE matches of all time in this event, but there also weren't any really bad matches. That made me happy.
And that's the more important thing, because let's be honest, not every match at WrestleMania has to be, an all-timer or oh my God, it's the best it's the best WrestleMania in the history of WrestleManias. That's going to be a cliche that WWE uses all the time, but in reality, as long as the show is entertaining and solid, and like you said, there's good payoff to certain storylines, that's all that really matters. Not everybody bats 1,000 every time out, and we may live in times where the internet rates things based on it was either the best thing ever or the worst thing ever, but that's in reality that's not how things work.
Right.
So.
Things are usually somewhere in between.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But let's start off with the first match. This is night one. Once again, WrestleMania, 2 nights. And it was for the United States Championship. We get John Cena, the legend, against the up-and-comer Austin Theory. And so we have youth and athleticism against experience and in theory, and I don't mean theory as in theory, I mean Cena's savvy and prowess as a veteran.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't a technical classic, I will say that, but it told a very good story. We've seen a good build up to this, and I don't know that Theory is quite ready to main event yet, but he certainly took a step here.
Yeah, I think more importantly, it was sort of that. A sort of passing of the torch moment, not, like you said, not necessarily in the main event status, because he is still the U.S. champion, so he's not going to be main eventing much of anything anytime soon. But the fact that John Cena had a lengthy run or two with that title, it was a passing of the torch in that sense.
And they even pointed out the announce team that in 2004, so 19 years ago, Cena's first match at WrestleMania was winning the U.S. title against Big Show.
Yeah. So that was a bookend kind of for John Cena, because I don't think he's going to be wrestling anymore.
I think he's coming. I think he'll probably wrestle one last match and win.
Right, but he's not going to be a regular, or even part-time player. He's one of those at this point special attractions.
Yeah, and there were people that were like, "Oh no, he should come back and have another run with the U.S. belt." And I'm like, first of all,
Dude's too busy filming stuff. He ain't gonna come. I mean,
he number one, he doesn't need the U.S. title. For that matter, WWE needs him more than he needs WWE at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got to be in DC Studios Water. Okay, so let's set a priority straight, damn it.
Yeah, he's got millions of dollars, and he doesn't need to risk his 45-year-old body in a wrestling ring to make millions now.
Yeah,
don't be silly.
He's done that. He's given a decade of more than a decade of service, and that's all. It's again, if fans often complain about building for the future, building stars for the future, if we're also in the same breath, hoping, wishing, and praying for classic superstars to come back, it's defeating the purpose, right?
Exactly.
They're supposed to come back and get past the baton, much like John Cena just did.
Yes.
Will it be nice to have him maybe come back and win one last match? Sure.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if he does that next year. Next year is his big send-off. If he headlines the Hall of Fame and he has a big send-off.
Yeah, agreed. You're right. It wasn't a technical masterpiece, but what I did like about it is that each performer got to hit their big spots, big moves.
And what I really liked was Theory used a lot of heel tactics that the crowd didn't like.
Yeah.
He bit Cena on a couple of occasions, including to get out of the STFU. He sucker punched him. And of course, the way that he won was he low blowed Cena.
Yeah.
The large man in the Austin Theory movies would say, right in the mommy daddy button.
Yeah. You mean Austin Powers? You said Austin Theory.
But I said Austin Powers.
If they start making Austin Theory movies, I'm out. Yeah. That's where I draw the line. Yeah, and I like that ending because it keeps Cena, it keeps that sort of hero, mythical, if you will, status for Cena, and the fact that he didn't lose clean, right?
Right.
So
as he should, as he shouldn't. I mean, again, a heel, unless you're talking about you're really trying to like establish a heel as a big time champion, like somebody like Roman Reigns could lose or could win cleanly, and that's understandable. Yeah. Here, Theory didn't need to win clean over Cena here,
and they did a good job, I think, of making it seem like there were a couple instances where Cena was going to get the victory. Like there were a couple of close calls.
Theory actually did tap to the STFU.
There is that as well. The ref was incapacitated.
Right. Again, classic heel setup for the match.
Yeah. So overall, it was entertaining, and it did what it needed to do. It further progressed Theory. I don't know where he goes from here. If they are going to push him up the ladder, he can't remain U.S. champion forever. So they're probably going to have to find a baby face to dethrone him.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
I think we could see him with the belt for a while.
Right.
Against, some mid-carders who are popular.
I like to see Ricochet, if you ask me.
Yeah, somebody like that. That would be a perfect person for him to feud with. And he goes over. It actually would help Ricochet.
Yeah.
Somebody like that feuding for the U.S. belt.
Well, I'd actually like to see Ricochet beat him at some point. Let's give Ricochet another run with the title, right? Because he had the Intercontinental title for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice. I think he'd be a good fit for the U.S. Title.
Okay.
So I down the line, I think if you're going to position Theory, if his next championship down the road is the Intercontinental champion, which if they're making the progression, it would be U.S. to Intercontinental to eventual, if he has the capability, world champion, right? So if the next step is eventually the IC title, he's got to drop the U.S. title, and I think Ricochet would be a good person to carry that.
I like Ricochet and Strowman as a team. I wouldn't have thought that, but watching them together,
I do. Yeah, they are a cool team. Yeah,
it kind of has an Andre and Snuka vibe to them.
Yeah,
you know?
because one is diminutive and one is a massive, a beast of a
A
man.
monster, yes.
Yeah, well, that's a good, very good, very apropos, of
Right.
course. And
Right. Monster of all monsters, or
yeah,
whatever it
so
is. Yeah.
that's why I like to see it go. But there's no clear sort of feud for um, theory set up after this, so we'll see where it goes. But
Mhm.
enjoyable enough match, and it did its job. Is what I'll say.
Yeah. And I've got to say this too. I'm no fan of Cena as a performer, like his persona or
His
whatever, but
character.
the man seems like a wonderful human being. When they talk about him granting more make-a-wishes than anybody else in history, you can see the genuine adoration that Cena has for those kids and how much
Yeah,
they
he
adore
came
him.
out. He came out with a bunch of
Yeah.
those kids.
And
A
high-fived them.
bunch of them were disabled, and I think that was really
Yeah.
really cool.
Gave him core memories. It is impossible to dislike the actual man. Whatever you think of, his, the hustle, loyalty, respect, and the five knuckle shuffle and all that kind of stuff.
And
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he does. I will give him that. He's great at that, and kudos to him because those kids probably they made their year, and also
They'll be thinking about that the rest of their lives.
Yeah,
that they stood on the WrestleMania stage with John Cena.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that John Cena has going in his favor, he's the former WWE superstar that is still in the DC universe. So
yeah,
unlike somebody else we know.
Yeah, that's working at least at this point. So knock on wood. Let's hope nothing else goes bad. So
yeah, keep it going, man.
Oh yeah. All right. So are we rating the match, or we're going to move on to the next?
Yeah,
match?
Let's rate it. Let's go ahead. Yeah.
I'd give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was perfectly serviceable. Again, I liked it. Theory had great facials. He really got the the crowd, even though the crowd was doing the let's go Cena sucks dueling chants.
That's kind of automatic now that they do that. It's not because they hate him anymore. It's just because they have to. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like
and nobody was really rooting for Theory. Put it that way. I mean, he made himself very unlikable, as he should. And when he came up with the victory, everybody was like, "Oh man!" I thought it worked. So
I'm going to give it a 3.5 as well. And again, that the entrance that Cena made with those kids put it over the top. So kudos to him for doing those.
All right. So next up, we have the tag team showcase. We have Braun Strowman and Ricochet, the Street Profits, Alpha Academy, and the Viking Raiders. And this was difficult to follow at times, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't good.
All I know is that these guys, especially the Street Profits and Ricochet, they do things that should not be doable from the human body perspective. Like the way they move, the way they leap, the way they contort their body. I mean, literally, if an artist wants to get a frame of reference for like Spider-Man's movement while he's swinging, just get one of these guys to come in and flip around and jump around, because it's like my body hurts watching them leap around and do the kind of stuff that they do.
Yeah. And kudos to Braun Strowman, by the way, for taking that tackle from Angelo Dawkins. That was a stiff spot, and I thought it was great. You know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of the World of Cardboard speech that Superman made to Darkseid when he was like, I live in a world of cardboard and I have to always, keep control. But you can take it, can't you, big guy? What we have here is a rare opportunity to show you how powerful I really am. And that's exactly what I thought of in that moment. Dawkins just laid into Strowman because he can take it,
That's a good point. Yeah. No, that was probably my spot of the match, just because of how stiff it was.
Mm-hmm. There's a few things I need to say about these teams. Number one, Montez Ford is another guy that I think is a main eventer.
Another U.S. title candidate, yeah.
Right. He is on his way. And there was a point where it seemed to be like they were going to, it seemed to be that they were going to break up the Street Profits.
Yeah.
Obviously that didn't happen, but I think that's in the wings.
Eventually it's going to happen.
Otis is another guy. I think the crowds like Otis as the fun-loving.
They call him now.
Otis. Yeah. By the way, I think that's hilarious.
It is.
That's what the crowds want. They love him as the fun-loving mid-card baby.
And listen, that guy. If I'm going to work and I'm him, first I get to hang around Mandy Rose all day, and now Maxine Dupree. Where do I sign the contract on? They can pay me $100 a day. I don't care. Like I'll give McMahon a discount. Just send me up with that kind of deal. I'll do it. I'll gain some weight. I'll go to McDonald's every day and gain 500 or 600 pounds. No problem. Where do I sign up this contract?
He cracked me up on Raw. It was one night recently where he was getting a facial and he had the cucumber slices on his eyes. And Gable came along, was talking to him, and when he sat up, the cucumber slices fell down onto his stomach, and then he ate them.
Which is on brand for him. But also, now that I mentioned it, I got to say, Maxine Dupree on the list.
I think
seen that in a couple of weeks, have you, Donnie?
Yeah, well, there you go. It's and it's back.
So. Never left.
And I think it's helping the maximum male models too, being in this with Otis. So Anyway, also got to call out how amazingly athletic the Viking Raiders were in this match.
Big dudes, they're
for guys who are built like tanks, built kind of like Otis. They really moved around well and showed you why they're on the main roster.
I gotta say though, what's her name? Sarah Logan there going barefoot. My only thought was, aren't your feet cold? Like I'm sitting there watching, thinking, I know you're in California, but aren't your feet freezing at this point?
I've never understood how anybody doesn't wrestle in shoes.
Well, she's on the outside, to be fair.
But the things that can happen to your feet, even just walking around the ring.
Yeah. I don't know. So that was something I was thinking about offhand when I saw it. I'm like, all right, cool, but put some shoes on.
Yeah.
Even the boots back in the day.
So it ended with Dawkins holding Ricochet in place for the big frog splash to Ricochet's back, and then Dawkins rolled up Ricochet for the win.
You're going to need a chiropractor after that move. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
The one that really concerned me, and I forget exactly what you call it, when they were all on the ropes and they did like that big cooperation suplex, and it was like 6 of them with Ricochet jumping onto the pile. That just looked really dangerous. I think they called it the Tower of Doom spot.
I mean, it looked fantastic, but it is dangerous.
Yeah. So, and by the way, we got to credit Braun Strowman coming off the top rope. He should not do that anymore, by the way, because his feet are too big for those ropes. Yeah. He almost slipped. So
you could tell that he almost
Yeah, he doesn't need to do that.
You have to readjust. It's like that's not your forte. Let Ricochet do all that.
Exactly. It reminded me of Hobbs recently on AEW when he got up to the top of the ladder.
Oh, I remember when he went to grab the ring.
Yeah.
I call it the donut, the giant donut.
Right. Yeah. And he looked down and he was like, uh-oh, because he knows what all big guys know. You're not supposed to be that. Yeah, he's like, I ain't doing this again. After I get this thing, I'm never make me do this again. And kudos to the referees for coming in and helping him out to make sure he didn't fall.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you could tell he was just like, how do I get down from here?
Is somebody coming hold the ladder?
So, what would you give this match?
I'll give it a 4. It was. I thought it was solid. I thought the high spots were great. The one that was really dangerous, like you said, and that stiff spot between Dawkins and Strowman, that shoulder check, I call it. So shoulder tackle. So and like I said, I think I would have given the win just because it looks like they're trying to advance them as a team. I would have given a win to Ricochet and Strowman personally, but they chose the Street Profits. So maybe they do get one more run with the tag titles before they split it up. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But are you going to have them beat Owens? Spoiler: Owens and Zayn. I doubt it.
They're both babyface teams. I don't think people really want to see
that.
That
doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So
unless the Usos are, unless they get the titles back, I mean, we don't know that that's not going to happen. So
it could. I think that would be a mistake, but.
Well, there's also, there's obviously problems brewing in the bloodline, and we'll talk about that later in the podcast.
Absolutely. So So yeah, I enjoyed this match. I thought it was really entertaining, and I just would have changed the team that won it if I was the booker, but I'm not. So
I mean, had I been the booker, I would have booked the Viking Raiders to win, just because then there's automatic opponents for Zayn and Owens.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. That makes more. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a 3.5. Again, a very serviceable match. I liked it, and for what it was, I thought they made the most of it.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, next up we have the controversial Logan Paul against Seth Rollins. And man, the crowds really love his entrance, Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
they love to sing with his theme song.
Yeah, it's amazing how he can just get that crowd, to go with him on that. And what's interesting with Rollins is he's gone from sort of heel to baby face, back to heel, back to baby face so many times. It's incredible that it's still, like this is some kind of he's over at this point, like big time. But to me, this persona is kind of like a hybrid of his heel and babyface persona.
He came out looking like a Valentine's Day present in that coat
for
that
Becky
he had.
Lynch,
yeah.
After the show.
She even said that she was jealous of that jacket that he had on. That thing was massive.
I saw the behind the scene.
Oh my gosh!
Video of it. Yeah.
I hope I hope Mattel makes an action figure of that.
I kind of figured you were going to go in there. And look, I got to say, as much as I am not a fan of celebrities coming in and being wrestlers, Logan Paul's got some skill in there.
He has put in the work, and we're not going to address all the controversy that surrounds the guy. We're just going to look at what he did in this match. He definitely has proved that he belongs. And I know, again, a lot of people don't like him, and that's a whole separate thing. But the guy looks like he belongs on a big stage like this.
Yeah, he can do that. He can perform in the ring, and that's listen. You got to give him props for that. He's putting in the effort. I'm glad that Seth won. I don't think you'd want Logan Paul going over in this particular match.
No, he doesn't need to beat someone like Seth Rollins yet.
I think the spot for me was when Seth was on the table on the outside, and he pulled Logan Paul's buddy there that was dressed as the energy drink.
Yeah, the big blue energy drink. Yeah,
onto the table, and Logan
KSI.
Paul,
yeah.
Or I don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
It's lost on me. But anyway, that guy, the KSI, whatever his name is, when he got hit by Logan Paul there, who was on the top rope, that was the spot of the match for me, because that takes timing. Even Rollins isn't taking the move. He's got to be on point with the setup. Otherwise, that could go very poorly. It was well executed.
My favorite spot of the match was a very simple thing, but wrestling psychology is something that's lost on a lot of modern wrestling matches. When Seth Rollins stomped Logan Paul's hand on the stairs outside of the ring, we know, Logan Paul has that, they talk all the time about, the pins that are in his hand.
Yeah, the bionic hand or everything.
Exactly. So when he threw that later on in the match, his hand hurts and he can't make the cover. That means a lot to the way the match progresses.
Right. And also the fact that Logan Paul was selling that throughout once that happened. That's important too, because if Rollins stomps on the hand and then Logan Paul doesn't know how to sell that throughout the match, it's pointless.
Yeah, so the match comes to an end after Rollins hits Paul with a super kick off the top rope and then a big stomp.
Yeah, and a good end to the rivalry. I don't think I need to see these two paired again. I think it's done.
We don't need to keep going with this now.
Let's move both of them, forward. I know Logan Paul just re-signed the contract. with WWE. So we'll see where they put him next and who they pair him with. And same for Rollins. We'll see where he ends up. There wasn't a clear direction for him, but I'm sure they'll put him somewhere.
I wouldn't mind at all seeing Rollins and Becky Lynch paired together. With her.
Those intergender matches,
yeah, and seeing the two of them come out, they obviously have chemistry together
Who would you
on
go
screen.
For? So you need another husband and wife,
or just have her. And I'm not saying that she shouldn't wrestle, or just have the two of them coming out when the other wrestlers
pairing together throughout.
And just kind of remind people that, hey, they're because I think everyone who watches WWE knows that now.
Yeah, it's not a secret.
Especially after when she had the baby, kind of gives it away.
Gee, I wonder whose kid that is. Yeah.
Right. Remind me to tell you something after the podcast. It's not something I could say on YouTube. Anyway, so I'm going to give that match a 4. I thought it was fine. A lot of cool spots. Again, a lot of athleticism. Whatever you think of Logan Paul, put that aside. It really worked on this, and it was another chapter in Seth Rollins' career that I think advanced him. So,
I'll give it a 3.5. Again, everything you said is valid. It's like I'm now ready to see the end of the Seth Rollins and Logan Paul feud. We don't need to keep going there. But
next up, we have Becky Lynch, Lita, Trish Stratus versus Damage Control, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, and Bayley.
Wow.
Adam's favorite wrestler, Bayley.
Look, I can't stand Bayley. There's no secret. So there was no sort of conflicted feelings for me who I wanted to see go over in this match. Plus,
Trish is Canadian, isn't she?
Exactly, Toronto girl. She's a WWE Hall of Famer. But you know what other Hall of Fame she's in, Donnie? The Multi-Verse Wife Hall of Fame. That's the Hall of Fame she's in. The more important one, if you ask me. If you ask her, she'll be like, "Where's my restraining order?" But anyway, I digress. I thought this was a solid match by all 6 involved. Again, the stuff, the high flying stuff that Io and Dakota can do is really, really impressive. I think, Bayley, as much as I dislike her in general, I just don't find her appealing. She's in that Austin Theory kind of realm where it's easy from even like she's good at getting people to hate her, in her persona. So she has that going for her. I think Trish and Lita coming in and being the legends and being able to compete at that level is very impressive. There was the move where one of my favorites where I think it was it, I don't know if it was one of the Damage Control, the 2 girls, or it was Bayley on the top rope, and then like on the outside, and then Lita and Becky lifted up Trish, and she had her in like a head scissors kind of reverse, and then did the Hurricane and threw her down on the outside. That was my spot of the match. That was impressive. And
they were all impressive. And I have to say this. I will say that I think both Trish and Lita are a little rusty with their timing. Sure. There were a few spots that didn't quite gel. And I really thought at times Becky Lynch kind of carried things along a little bit.
Sure, being the in-ring everyday performer.
Exactly. But and being a huge star. She did carry that, and that's how the match ended, is that Lita landed a moonsault and Lynch planted Bayley with the manhandle slam off the ropes for the win.
Is that just not a modified rock bottom? I just want to, because it looks like it to me.
I all I know is that it looks believable when she does the manhandle slam.
Yeah.
Yeah. I miss the spinning solo, by the way. He doesn't, now that he's using the spike, I really like that, the way that he used, it looked like the rock bottom except across his body.
It makes sense for him because he's cousins with the rock, right? So that move,
Sure.
yeah, that basically that smack with his forearm or whatever. I mean, don't get me wrong. If he actually did that, would it hurt?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If he cut you in the throat with his thumb, yes, it would hurt, but it doesn't look as impressive in my opinion. So
yeah,
anyway.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But we'll talk about Solo later.
yeah. But no, I like I said, I really like this match. And I think it was the commentators called it out. Trish's wardrobe was a callback to something she wore a decade ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And
I will say,
WrestleMania
she is in amazing shape.
Oh yeah, she
does a lot of yoga. And so for somebody, and and I'm not, again, the fact is she's an older wrestler now. She's a Hall of Famer. To come back and in that kind of shape and to still be able to perform, even if she does have a little rust on her, it's still amazing, both her and Lita. Remember, Lita had that bad injury with her back and her shoulder at one point. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Now, you got to talk about the fact that since that happened, Lita has now turned on Becky Lynch.
Trish.
Not Lita, excuse me, Trish. Yeah. Where do you think it goes now with Trish being a heel?
Well, my thought would be Backlash, or they could extend it and do SummerSlam.
My only concern is this: I don't have a problem with that being booked, but if she's only going to be here, let's say for 3 months, is that how the WWE universe wants to see this run end with her as a heel, and then she's gone for a long time? I don't think so.
Here's the other thing too, that I would assume that could throw an interesting development in the pile. So I'm assuming that at some point Lita's also going to turn on Becky, because Lita and Trish are like Batman and Robin. They're kind of a team now, right? Right. That's a dynamic duo, right? Anyway, in the Multiverse Wives kind of pantheon, but I digress. Anyway, so I think
I'd say they're more even, more like Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan.
All right, I knew you were going to go there. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I had to get it in.
I'm gonna have to wear an adult diaper for when we actually review the new Green Lantern book. I'm drinking the water, all kinds. So I don't know if you noticed, but Mickie James relinquished the Impact, the Knockouts title, whatever it's called, because she's got an injury that she can't perform in a match. What if she makes some kind of comeback to WWE in time for SummerSlam to aid Becky against Lita, and I'm not saying in a match, but as a run-in, against Trish with Lita's help at SummerSlam. I think that would be, because remember back in WWE there was that whole feud between Trish and Mickie James.
Oh
right?
Yes,
so,
yeah.
So
that was a great feud. That was one of the best matches at WrestleMania one year. Trish against.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. They could bring that, but if Mickie is not under contract.
Yeah, that Trish Mickie feud was magic. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that's had my mind kind of turning ever since she relinquished the Impact championship. And again, it's what SummerSlam is 3 months. What are we? 1 month. What is this? April? What are we in April?
We are in April, and so it'll be roughly 4 months. Yeah.
So she could heal between now and then enough to kind of do some kind of thing. So maybe a Backlash. It's Trish against Becky with Lita in Becky's corner.
Yeah.
And then in the course of that match, Lita also turns on Becky, and then SummerSlam sets up my idea. But
so what you're saying is that since Lita and if Lita and Trish healed, then Mickie would heal and come back and confront the heels.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Exactly.
People are going to need a transcript to say, what did he just say? Anyway.
Anyway, that's my take on
H-E-L and H-E-A-L.
Yeah, heel and heel. That's exactly right. That's correct. And so that's my Triple H. I'll give you that one for free. So I'll call Mickie James and make it happen.
Yeah.
But in terms of this match and what I rated, I'd give it a 4 because again, I thought the work that Becky did, and hey, look, as much as I don't like her, give credit to Bayley as well. They both did some great work to really as the leads of the match. And then even though the timing was off, I thought Trish and Lita put in a good showing.
Yeah, and I'm going to say 3.5. Again, very serviceable. I liked it.
What did I say? 4? I just said
4. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. So.
All right. So next up, we have Rey Mysterio versus ex-con Dom, a.k.a. Dominic Mysterio. And without a doubt, this was my favorite entrance of WrestleMania for both nights. When Dominic came out
in the prison van,
in the prison van with the police, with the big video package or whatever, coming out as a hardened convict.
Was in jail for all of 2 seconds, but
for like 3 hours total. But now he's a hardened criminal who did
somehow he was out, but the police went to pick him up just for WrestleMania. It's like what?
I loved it, and the fact that he sells it like his life depends on it. I mean, he does so well with this.
Well, it's his life, it's his work, it's his job. He better sell it like his life depends on it.
Now I have to ask the question. In the middle of this match, and by the way, it went the way you would expect it to. Rey, obviously the seasoned veteran, against his much greener son, and even though Dominic's bigger, Rey kind of wrestled circles around him at times.
Yeah, and Rey had to win that match. They had to.
He's Rey Mysterio, and he headlined the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Now I would have understood had he gone out and said, "Look, I want to lose to my son." I would understand that. But I think for what they did, there's still plenty of juice left in this feud. They didn't have to go that way.
And we got the LWO back, which is great.
That's right. Yeah, I love those shirts.
I'll tell you what, Zelina Vega in that LWO shirt on the list. Oh boy, it's a pen clicking fiesta today.
Yeah, and she's kind of just floating along for a while. To have her paired here, I think that works for her.
She's so talented. I think they need to get her more in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think is missing. I think she's got a lot to prove, to showcase in the ring, and I'd like to see her more in the ring. But we'll talk about her another day, I'm sure. But yeah.
So, but I have to ask. Okay, when did it become legal in a standard WWE match to take your belt off and whip your opponent?
When that opponent is your jackass son who deserves it, that's when it became legal. Okay, I think they're really solving the job that everybody and their mother within the company hates Dom. And to the point where the ref's like, you know what, just go for it. Go ahead. Like, I've never heard a pop where a mother slaps her son. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that happened the night before, the Thursday before. Where was it, the mom, or was it at WrestleMania where the mom slapped him?
Mm-hmm.
Was it at Mania or was it SmackDown the night before?
No, I thought it was. Yeah, it was a couple nights before. It was his mother and his daughter.
Yeah.
Not his daughter. It was it was his sister, mother and Rey's daughter, his sister. Yeah.
But when his mom slapped him,
and I heard that the drink spot wasn't planned. That he just kind of played that joke on his sister, throwing the drink at her.
Oh, I mean the brother could get away with that because they're actually siblings. Yeah. But like I said, the pop I heard for that slap was hilarious. Like it was insane. So I think as a heel, Dom is just as over as MJF is as a heel.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I would agree. And by the way, MJF has expressed the fact that he admires Dominic and what he's doing.
Well, they both have a throwing a drink on people fetish, although one wasn't planned. Neither was planned, but one is acceptable because it's a brother throwing it on his sister, which so I mean that's par for the course. If you have a sister, you understand that. Not that I've thrown drinks on my sister, but I've done spiteful things. So leave it at that. I'll just say what the hell. I once broke because I knew it pissed her off. I broke a watch that one of her ex-boyfriends gave her when he was still her boyfriend. So
wow, okay.
So
there's
Dom,
a story
ex-con,
you gotta tell me more about that.
Take that, ex-con, Dom. You see what's worse, throwing a drink or throwing the the watch. I say the watch. Anyway, I got punished for that, but I digress. And that's neither here nor there. But anyway, so that's okay. But then when MJF threw the drink on that supposedly the kid wasn't a plant and it was alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it wasn't. I mean, there's being a heel and then there's taking it too far. I think that might have been too far.
not the best decision there, right?
Yeah. But I like, to me, I think everything worked well because in this match because you expected the Judgment Day to interfere, and they tried multiple times. Mm-hmm. And then the interference by Bad Bunny.
Which, by the way, I did not mind the way he was used here because he wasn't actually in the match. All he did was he grabbed.
I mean, look, he will be. I predict that. But look,
well, I think he will be.
It's going to be a tag team match between Ray and Bad Bunny against Dominic and Damian.
Right. But I will say the way they used him here, when Dominic was going to go, use the chain on Ray, and Bad Bunny grabbed it from the outside and he stopped that. Eventually, Ray hits the 619 and a top rope splash
and the
for the win.
Splash, yeah. Mm-hmm. And he did the whole tribute to Eddie. And it's cool because the difference in reaction when Dom does it and Ray does it, it's like night and day.
By the way, I have seen lately Rhea Ripley giving a lot of interviews with. There's a Build-A-Figure from a recent Mattel wave, and it's
little Dominic. She's got it in her pocket.
It's a little Dominic, and she's like, and I just love the symbolism. She's like, I got my little Dom in my pocket.
She does in the storyline too.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. She's getting things over with that little.
I gotta be honest, that kid was a little bit of story. I remember back then when I actually liked it when it was the feud between the ladder match for custody of Dominic.
Well, that's where this is from. It's Dominic from 2005.
Yeah. And you know what's actually pretty funny? I didn't know this, but
I have the arms, I think.
If my internet sleuthing is correct, apparently Rhea Ripley is dating Buddy Matthews in real life, or is with, right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
He was at the Hall of Fame thing, and Dom was, so it's like, is that funny thing where they're all sitting together?
Yeah.
And then you have Charlotte sitting with Andrade, who's at AEW because they're married, and and it's like, and then you had Vince with his Gomez Adams mustache, but I digress. But yeah, no, I think this match worked.
Linda, you spoke French.
it was the exact payoff everybody wanted, I think. Mm-hmm. And I just, like I said, the storyline is classic. An annoying little prick of a son being put in his place by his father. I mean,
and I just loved it because obviously we know that Dominic has a bright future.
Yeah.
And Rey Mysterio is one of the greatest of all time, one of my favorite wrestlers.
I don't know how he's still doing it at that caliber.
It's amazing that he's doing the things at his age.
Like he's 20.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't aged a day.
He really is phenomenal and has really opened Lucha Libre up to a lot of American fans.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because they have that reference point of, Rey Mysterio.
Absolutely.
So I really love this match. I'm going to give it a 4.5. It was one of my favorites of both nights. So
same, 4.5.
Yeah.
And anytime you can randomly include Snoop Dogg in the spot, why not?
All right. So next up, we have the much anticipated SmackDown Women's Championship. Charlotte Flair, the champion, against the challenger, the aforementioned Rhea Ripley. And this was pretty much everything that I thought it would be.
It was
a lot of stiffness in their shots. These are both two very large, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but very large in shape, strong women trading blows back and forth. And if you saw Rhea after the match, she looked kind of bruised up.
They can both put me in a backbreaker, and I'd be totally fine with it. I just want to point that out. Let's go. What the hell?
Yeah. Well, they did the right thing here. I've got to say that
absolutely, yeah.
Outside of Roman Reigns, right now, I think you can make the argument that Rhea is the hottest star in the company, both male and female.
Yeah.
She's really gone to a next level with this kind of mommy persona. And the thing is, she's wrestled more in previous years than she's wrestled this year, but she got over with her presence and her mic skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think, look, let's be honest. Charlotte's going to take a break and then come back and win another title again, because she's going to get to 16. She's at 14. She's going to get to 16.
Mm-hmm.
They might even let her do 17 to pass her father.
It could be. Yeah, she's not done.
She's going to have at least 3 more title reigns throughout the course of her career, because to get to 17, she need 3. So she's going to have at least 2, maybe 3. But for right now, I think it was the right call to put the strap on Rhea.
Definitely, yeah.
Like I said, I think the chops both women gave each other, the suplexes just so crisp, and the form of the suplexes were phenomenal. Those things really impressed me. Just a solid match that really, it hit home the idea that in storyline that these two people can't stand each other, and we're out to hurt each other. That was so you really got that sense in the storyline through the performances, and it was really, really well done. And like I said, the right person went over in this particular instance.
No doubt. And, Rhea, it's amazing what she has achieved at 26 years of age.
Yeah.
And I will say that I was disappointed because I wanted to see her against Bianca, but now we have that to look forward to.
Yeah.
Down the road, Rhea versus Bianca.
Do you think they could do a scenario where Rhea wins both belts?
It could be. And we could see a scenario where Rhea wins both belts, and then this goes on to next WrestleMania, and Bianca wins them back.
Or Charlotte comes back and, hey.
Sure. Yeah. The good thing is that, they have a lot of top-tier talent in WWE.
Yeah, they have one that they're not using, Alexa Bliss. So I don't know where.
Well, but yeah.
Where is she, damn it? Give me what I want, Triple H.
I just had a friend send me the figure that I wanted of Alexa Bliss, the one with her and Lily.
Okay, so, can your friend send me actual Alexa Bliss? Like, you can have the figure. Can you send me like the real life genuine article? Because what I got to do to make that happen?
Yeah, so I got to call him out on this podcast. Big Ox, my collecting buddy and brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. So, yeah. So anyway, Ripley wins the belt.
Have you reviewed that figure yet?
I have not. I just got it today.
Okay, make sure you refer to her as my Earth 2 multiverse wife when you do.
I will certainly do so, yeah. I heard that she just needs some time off, maybe for mental health reasons, just that she's worn out.
Whatever it is, I miss her on my TV. That's all I'm saying.
So
I'm going through bliss withdrawal, and the Leafs are only going to make it worse for a different reason. But anyway, continue.
You missed the bliss, huh? Okay.
I missed the bliss. Let's go.
The only thing I'm going to say about this match that I thought didn't come off the way they wanted it to, when Rhea gave her the riptide from the ropes, the reason the riptide looks so devastating is, she rips the woman up off the mat usually and then reverses her momentum and slams her down. The way they did this in this match, it was almost like she was holding her like a baby.
It took some finagling to get her up there. Yeah.
And they were both tired at this point. So it didn't have the snap that the riptide usually does.
It still looked cool, but not as cool. It looked cool, but not as forceful or impactful when it's from the standing position,
Yeah.
I agree with that sentiment, yeah.
Yeah. Bianca Belair said at one time that she said that the riptide is one of the most painful moves to take. she said that Rhea did it to her on the ramp one time, and she said, "My soul left my body." I was like, "Ouch!"
I can imagine, but yeah, no, like I said, it was an intense, physical, stiff, match, but it needed to be with the storyline that those two were telling. And you could see that Charlotte, it kind of takes away from the mystique of the thing. But the way the performers use social media nowadays, there is no kayfabe anymore. But Charlotte stayed outside the ring. It was kind of, you could see her smiling.
Yeah, they caught her smiling, and I think she.
And but the cameraman's an idiot because he kept going to it.
Yeah, exactly. They shouldn't have, but. She's been, Rhea has credited Charlotte with helping her out a lot.
Yeah.
Through her career. So I understood why.
I liked it, but at the same time, it's like, don't show that.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like, I love to listen to shoot interviews and things like that. Years down the road, I don't want to see it.
Listen, I know that most of these people don't actually hate each other and aren't trying to harm each other. Mm-hmm. But for the mystique of the moment that I'm watching WrestleMania, don't show me the loser smiling for the winner.
Yeah.
Like when Sasha did it for Bianca last year, it was okay because they're both baby faces. Right? So it's like, that would make sense.
Right. You mean 2 years ago, but yeah.
To whatever. Time is inconsequential.
Especially the pandemic just kind of, smashed everything together.
Yeah. So when that happened, it was okay because it was two baby faces. That was like, Hulk Hogan with the Ultimate Warrior in WrestleMania 6. That's okay. But when you telling me one is a heel and one is a baby face and you're showing the baby face smiling it's like, really? Come on.
No. But this was one of the best matches of the night. One of my favorites of the show. 4.5. Just, and again, I think that WWE is on the cusp of having another huge breakout star with Rhea Ripley, somebody who is to the point to where I think she's getting some mainstream recognition. So we could see her as a movie star years down the road.
Yeah, for sure. 4.5 for me as well. It would have been a 5 had they landed that Riptide spot better. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. I feel the same way. All right. Up next, we kind of have an impromptu match. Pat McAfee versus The Miz. So, it was what it was. Miz and Snoop Dogg, came out both nights, and they kind of
talk about the attendance, and then
were they the official hosts?
They were, yeah.
Okay.
Well, The Miz was.
And
Snoop Dogg, I guess, was just there. So let's give him a show.
Yeah. Say this about Snoop Dogg. He's done a lot.
He entertains the hell out of me. I'll give him that.
He's done a lot to, call attention and awareness to WWE with his fandom. So you have to, whatever you feel about his music or his whatever.
Sasha Mercedes, whatever the hell she calls herself nowadays. Is
now Mercedes,
cousin.
It's Mercedes Monet, I believe.
Yeah. Anyway, it's the same gimmick. It's the same gimmick. The name has changed. Come on.
How does she do that with her hair? That's so amazing.
Her hair is impressive.
So I'm just,
I can't do that. You certainly can't do that.
Obviously.
So, let's call it what it is.
I can paint colors on my head, but anyway.
Oh yeah, sure. You could do the colors of the Green Lantern spectrum on your head. Right?
If I ever got a tattoo, I'd get like a Bam Bam Bigelow style tattoo, but it would be the Green Lantern look. Then I'd be Donnie the single guy because my wife would be like, no.
You want to throw a marriage down the toilet? That's how to do it, folks. Oh, boy.
So anyway, we had the impromptu match, and McAfee won. Also, George Kittle, who's part of my favorite football team, your San Francisco 49ers, he jumped in and helped McAfee score the pinfall. And I think this was necessary because the crowd was
it was just
so
a break
hyped
in
up.
Action. Yeah, it was just
it helps them between just how hot they were for the Ripley Flair match and eventually the main event. This was kind of a place. It's kind of like, we talk about with comics, an issue to slow the pace down before the big ending.
Yeah.
So that's what we had here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think we need to rate this match because is it really a match? Not really. It's a squad. It's It's Pat McAfee beating the crap out of the Miz.
Right. Which, give the Miz credit for doing what he's told. I mean,
but the Miz gets paid and then gets to go home to Maurice. So, who's the winner here?
I just don't want to hear any more about his
package
anatomy. We'll just keep it that way.
Yeah, I could do without that. Just show me more Maurice. That's what I say.
I've had enough of that. Who again is somebody who she has not aged since her career.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah. She could come back. If they did another mixed tag match or whatever, she looks like she's ready. So
yeah.
So
Canadian too. She's French Canadian, but you can't. People can't help with the born, unfortunately.
I actually read an interview where she said she eats a piece of chocolate cake every day, and she doesn't gain weight. She did because she has a great metabolism. I'm like, man, that's a heel sentence right there.
Yeah. Listen, hey, you gotta give it to her.
But anyway, all right. So now we're on to the.
My problem is I won't be able to stop at a piece if I tried to eat a piece of cake every day. I'd eat the whole cake.
No,
slowly but surely.
We were on vacation. I would have to tell my wife, I'm like, okay, so I just ate this. So for the next 2 or 3 days, I'm like, don't put any sweets in front of me because, you get to my age and you got to take care, not to overdo it. Anyway, so that's another podcast.
Yeah.
So
we're doing lifestyle and eating.
Although I did talk a lot about the action figure and comic shops that I frequented on my vacation.
Yes,
you can see that on my YouTube channel. Yes. Yeah. So, but back to WrestleMania Night 1, the big main event, the undisputed tag team championships, Jay and Jimmy Uso against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
This was, I think, match of the night.
Actually, for me, it was my favorite match of both nights. I loved it. Yeah. I love both teams. Even though, Sammy and Kevin haven't been together for a while, but I love them as individual wrestlers.
Yeah, and again, I got to give WWE credit because they made me care about 2 Montreal Canadiens fans. That is not easy to do, my friends. I'll tell you that right now. But I think every time that Sammy and Kevin got the upper hand, you can't help but cheer and fist bump. Not because you don't like the Usos, but the way the storyline's been told, they needed to get their comeuppance, as the saying goes, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's the way wrestling is supposed to be. Remember, it's not just guys doing moves; it's supposed to be a story.
Yeah,
and that's what this. I mean, this has been built so well for so long. The pop that they got, and when I say they, I mean Owens and Zayn, when they reunited. It was thunderous.
Yeah, who knew people could get excited about 2 men hugging?
Old friends reuniting, that speaks to all of us.
Yeah.
So, but there were some really nasty moves in this match. There was an apron brainbuster that Sammy did on Jey Uso. There was a swanton bomb from Owens to Jimmy Uso that looked nasty. There was a splash from Sami Zayn to Jimmy Uso, and the crowd never quieted down in this match. Every move had a reaction.
And yeah, absolutely. And I love the finish where it's Sammy giving 3 Helluva kicks to Jay.
And you want to know what separates Sami Zayn? His facials in this match, you could tell. That he was conflicted about doing this, but he looked at him and he's like, I know this needs to be done.
I think the first 2 times he was conflicted. The third time is like, no, I'm just letting it all out, right?
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, it's pretty amazing the way he does that without kicking somebody's head off.
Yeah, it takes, because you are like when you have your opponent in that position, the other guy's in that position. There's no real way of not putting your foot in the guy's face.
Yeah.
Like he's so prone, right? His arms are so prone that he can't do this so that you're kicking here. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're gonna get hit in the face.
Yeah.
It's down to the other guy's timing and skill, whether you get hurt or not. And clearly,
to protect the guy he's working with. Yeah,
clearly, Sammy has that. I mean, obviously, Jay turns his face so that he's not getting square on the nose, but you're still getting a foot in your face, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it really felt like that was like months of aggravation and frustration being let out in those 3 kicks by Sammy. And you're right, his facial expressions sold that, and Jimmy couldn't get involved because he got stunned by Kevin. So
yeah. By the way, I love him doing the stunner. He does that so well.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was my favorite match of both nights, and I'm going to give it a 5. It was beautiful, and the fact that they're continuing it now. So now I could do without Riddle being in the equation after WrestleMania, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of that guy. But the match was a 5. See, I know he's hurt, but I'd love Randy Orton to come back and RKO Riddle.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
Yeah, but but 5. This is a 5 out of 5. This match here.
Yeah. All right, so that is night 1, and like I said, really, amazing what they were able to do in that one night. And I like the fact that they're continuing to do the 2-night like template, using that every year.
I mean, yeah, why would you? If you can sell the tickets and the interest is there, why not? You give more performers a chance to compete. Right? So
right, and avoid exactly, and avoid making the show too long.
Like the show was nearly 4 hours as it is.
Yeah.
Imagine having to cram both nights into one. You're looking at a 6-hour plus affair, and who's got time for that? Mm-hmm. All that would mean is people are getting left off the card.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they'd have to put, more dark matches out. And again, the crowd would wear out, I think, if they tried to squeeze so much of this into one night. Yeah, you don't need a 6-hour event. So I like the 2-night idea going forward.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah.
And this is part of why, wrestling fans refer to WrestleMania week as our Christmas week. Yeah. Because, there's a lot leading up, and then you get the Raw after WrestleMania in 2 nights. It's just like a week-long celebration.
And I don't see the 2-night format going away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's here to stay.
Yeah, I hope they continue to do that. So.
All right. So why don't we take a quick break, and then we'll come back for night 2.
Yeah, I was going to say, this seems like a really good place to go ahead and take a break.
Oh, we're going to take a break. So take your bathroom break, get some more popcorn, some more drink, and we'll be right back. So stay tuned.
We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
What's up, everyone? It's the Emerald Enthusiast. For all of your multiverse viewing and listening needs, check out our shows, which include Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, Power Rangers, the Marvel Universe, and the DC Universe, including the Emerald Echo podcast. You can check us out on Podbean, and remember to subscribe right here on YouTube. That's the Multiverse Musings Podcast Network. From the first podcast to the last.
And we're back.
Indeed we are. And night 2 is on the docket, so take it away, Donnie.
All right, night 2 opens up with Brock Lesnar versus Omos. And this was different.
I didn't expect, honestly, I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect Brock to go over in this match. Especially in light of the fact that I've been reading, prior to that, I've been reading articles saying that, Brock was on his way out. But then here we are. So I thought Omos was going to go over, and But here we are, and Brock goes over in about 4.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And Brock had a really big angle the next night, didn't he?
He certainly did, but we'll get to that more later on. I will say, in the time allotted, for most of that, almost dominated.
He did look strong. I will say that I think they tried to elevate both guys. The problem is this doesn't really help Brock because he's already been to the mountaintop many, many times. We've seen him beat giants before.
It didn't make sense to finish, to be honest. To have Brock go over, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, so he hit an F5 and he wrapped up a match that was I think it was about 4.5 minutes or something like that. It wasn't very long. So
thankfully.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, thankfully it wasn't that long. But I mean, there's not much there. I mean, Omos threw Brock around a couple of times, and then Brock did that. You know, there were a couple of suplexes, right, along the way, where they showed the first time Brock tried it, his back gave out, so they showed that there was some difficulty there.
And I will give Brock credit there. He's come a long way as far as a storyteller in ring.
Yeah.
You've got to give him that. I mean, it's those little details now that he understands how to sell.
Yeah.
And sure. I'm just not sure what WWE is going to do with Omos now. I thought that maybe we were going to get the Hurt Business, reunited, and he might be the enforcer type, but I don't know what they're doing with him. So
yeah, that's what I mean. There's no real direction here for Omos, and we know what Brock is doing, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, so it was confusing, and it wasn't really a highlight. I mean, it doesn't. Like, yes, Omos is bigger than Brock, even.
Right.
In terms of size. But it doesn't have that same allure when in this David and Goliath match is Brock Lesnar. Like, that, yes, he's bigger, but it's still believable that Brock Lesnar could beat him. In a technical wrestling match, Brock is going to win.
Right. And so obviously he is still strong enough to lift Omos. So
it would be like if you're telling me Rey Mysterio is going to fight Big Show and win. That's a David and Goliath match because it's Rey Mysterio. Look at the size of Rey Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's somebody like Brock Lesnar, the David versus Goliath angle, which is what they were trying to play, doesn't work.
I never thought of Andre versus Hulk Hogan as David versus Goliath, and that's what this was. It was, the powerhouse against the giant.
But again, it doesn't have like Andre versus Hogan had an allure because both men were stars at that point.
I really thought this match should have been a triple threat. I thought it should have been Omos.
Is a superstar, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, go ahead. Anyway.
But Omos is not. Omos, nobody, like, the audience doesn't care about him enough to put him in that. It's not Hogan Andre because Hogan Andre had like you said, or I said, whatever both of us said. Hulk and Andre are both attractions. They're both superstars. Omos is not there yet. So
yeah, they're still letting him wallow on the mid card, which I think he could be more. But what I'm saying, I think this should have been a triple threat match with Bobby Lashley and Omos against and Brock, and have it be a triple threat because that's three guys who don't like one another.
Yeah, and then
I thought that would have been a little bit better.
Yeah, and then you're truly curious as to who's going to win because
it's chaotic. That's what triple threats are.
And two of them are legitimately viable wrestlers, right?
And it really was a shame that because of some planning problems with Bray Wyatt that Bobby Lashley
he's injured or whatever.
Yeah,
sick or what?
Nobody seems to know exactly. But, that was going to be a big program. Obviously, Bobby Lashley still looks incredible. I still
don't understand that. I don't understand, Donnie. I don't understand that pairing.
Likewise.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But what I wanted to say was I saw where Lashley posted a picture of himself from his rookie year 18 years ago. He didn't look any different. Dude, seriously.
It's scary.
It's amazing that he is his age, but he looks 20 years younger. It's amazing. So,
like when my beard gets longer, I'm noticing gray hairs, and it's like, wait, where did those come from? Right?
yeah. Well,
Then
my
you got
beard was
Bobby
almost
Lashley.
almost completely brown about 5 years ago, and now so
I blame the Leafs whenever I see gray hair. I'm like, okay, that's this playoff year. That's that playoff year. So that's my excuse. But yeah, Bobby Lashley doesn't seem to have those problems.
yeah. So next, we should rate that match.
I mean, I'll be generous and say 2.
I'm going to give it a 3. There were some interesting looking
I mean,
moves.
they did some stuff, but I really
Yeah.
didn't, like. I wasn't invested in the outcome. I didn't really care. It's one of those.
Omos is obviously a powerhouse in and of himself. Yeah. The fact that he was able to throw Brock around, and like I said, Brock sold well, and the match was fine for what it was, but I thought it was forgettable. So,
yeah, very much so.
I really, like I said, I feel like there's something that they could do with Omos, but they just haven't found it yet.
Yeah, just what is it? Like,
yeah.
Isn't there that other guy is Gable Stevenson or whatever? Like, what's that guy doing? Nothing. Have they done anything with him? You need another bigger guy to.
Actually, didn't I hear that he unretired and like is going back to competitive wrestling now?
Okay, then I guess.
So I don't know. I could be wrong about that.
Like, but I'm sure they've done something before, but Braun and Omos or what's the other guy? Bronson Reed, I think, is another guy that had a good show. The guy, the big guy that was at the Elimination Chamber.
Mm-hmm.
That guy in Omos or something.
Yeah, Bronson Reed, who had a good match with Bobby Lashley on Raw.
Yeah, so you need somebody, somebody a little bit more. There's another big guy on NXT, big tall sucker. I can't remember his name now. But he'd be a guy, that could do something with Omos. But on the main roster, I don't know, aside from Braun Strowman.
Which they've already done that feud.
Yeah, not Breaker.
Yeah.
Could do something with it. So I don't know. Omos is in a weird spot.
Well, and I liked him in a tag team with AJ, so I would like to see him maybe go back and be in a tag team with someone like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, which, by the way, why did they change her name from Gonzalez to Rodriguez?
I don't know.
Anyway, so
it's just
not
Vince.
Yeah.
Doing Vince things.
Yeah. It's not like, it was a gimmick change or anything. It was just all of a sudden she was Rodriguez instead of Gonzalez. And I was like, well, okay.
Is her actual name Gonzalez?
I think her actual name is Gonzalez. So
that's
anyway,
why, because he doesn't want to give her it's her actual name.
Where WWE's famous for trying to own names. Yeah. So it was Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Natalya and Shotzi versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. And I gotta say something about them versus Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. And I saw on Reddit where people were trying to give a name to Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. And, they both wear the black eyeliner, like the really thick black eye. And somebody said their name should be the Trash Pandas. And I couldn't get that out of my head.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. That's pretty.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway, Rousey and Baszler won against the other 3 teams. And eventually what Adam and I are talking about is that Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez went on to win the Raw women's titles.
I gotta say,
to me.
I really like the team of Liv and Raquel. Against their size discrepancy.
Yeah, they work well together.
Little small, bundle of on the list, and Raquel. Hey, she's taller, bigger, and also on the list. This pet's gonna work out. If it breaks today, wouldn't be a shock. But. There was that spot in the match where all the other teams were on the outside, and Raquel actually threw Liv onto the other teams. Like she almost powerbombed her onto the other teams on the outside.
Yeah,
that was my spot of the match. And the thing that Liv did as Raquel was gonna powerbomb on the outside. She waved to the crowd, and I'm like, look, this is apropos of nothing, and I know this is sacrilege because my Earth 2 wife is gonna get upset by me saying this. But when I saw Liv wave at the crowd, I'm like, that's a total Harley Quinn move. And if they ever recast Harley Quinn, I could see Liv Morgan playing it.
I think she definitely has acting in her future. By the way, Raquel Gonzalez's real name is Victoria Gonzalez. So
okay, so they've changed it.
Anyway, yeah. But yeah, Liv is incredibly popular. Obviously, they had her win the belt for a while. They took it off of her. It seems pretty obvious to me that WWE doesn't see her as a singles main eventer, but you got to keep her in the consciousness of the fans because she's so over. Yeah. I don't think she just deserves to wallow on the mid card.
But also, don't you think the women need an Intercontinental Championship type of belt?
I would think so. I think that would be more helpful than the.
I mean, this is ridiculous at this
belts,
point that they have two belts, which is the championship and the tag belt, and that's it. Like the men have 4 belts.
Right. No, I would agree.
The girls.
I will say too. I want to say that Raquel Rodriguez is on the cusp of being big.
Yeah, she's going to be a world champion.
She is going to be somebody who in the future could
Rhea at some point.
Yeah, she could, be somebody who, whether it's Rhea or Bianca, somebody like that, be the one who has a big time feud with them. So yeah. So this match ended with Ronda Rousey locking in the armbar, and who was it that who did she lock the armbar on? Was it Shotzi? I think it was Shotzi. She put the armbar on her. Yeah, and that was the end of it. So there was a lot of good back and forth. There was a double sharpshooter at one point, which I liked.
That was cool.
We got to give credit here to Natalya, who has had a hand in a lot of these women's developments.
She's so good at bringing up the other, making a match out of somebody that not necessarily you think would give a good match, but she can elevate that, much like her uncle used to do, right? In that scenario, the only thing I feel bad for Natalya is it always seems like she's the one to bring up the others and eventually job to them. Mm-hmm. But she hasn't really gotten her time, I think, as with championships. And again, part of it is a function of there's only 2 titles for the women.
Right.
So, if they had an Intercontinental type of championship for the women, Natalya would be the perfect holder for that.
Yeah. And could put younger talent over with that.
Yeah.
So what would you rate this match?
I'll give it a solid 4. It was chaotic, but it was.
I'm going to agree. It worked. And like I said, I think that even though they didn't win, we saw the elevation shortly thereafter of Gonzalez and Liv Morgan, and or Rodriguez now. But
I'm not being powerbombed by Raquel. I just throw that out there. If Rhea or Raquel want to take turns, give me the powerbomb or Riptide. Go for it.
They did have a little stare down on it. I forget which show it was. It might have been Raw that Rhea came out and kind of looked at her, looked her up and down. I was like, okay.
I'm telling you, Raquel is going to, I want to call her Victoria. Damn it, you should have saved that for later, Donnie. It's going to confuse me now, everything. But no, I think Raquel is going to eventually dethrone Rhea. It's just not yet, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, they have to let Rhea reign for a while. Try saying that 5 times. Let Rhea Ripley reign anyway.
Yeah, have her destroy everybody else, and the last person she faces is Raquel. And then have Charlotte come back as a heel and take out Bianca because.
Well, and there's an interesting debate going on right now because Rhea is incredibly popular. And some people
I don't want a scenario with the 2 belts again like Roman. I mean that's starting to wear, the one guy having 2 belts thing is starting to wear. Like if you have this brand separation, each brand should have a championship.
Which I don't think they need the brand separation, but that's a whole different.
But if you're gonna have it, right? If you're gonna do it, and you're gonna have a draft, then there should be a champion on each brand. If you want one guy or a girl to hold both belts, then you get rid of the brand separation.
Mm-hmm. And just have it be the WWF title.
Yeah. So
or WWE title, excuse me.
If you're gonna have two,
can't be WWF anymore.
Because, if you're gonna have two belts, yeah, because Vince pissed off the Panda people. If you're gonna have two belts, then there should be two champions.
Yeah. But
like when Cody eventually, when Cody spoilers, when Cody eventually does get one of the belts, he should get the what essentially represents the belt that Hogan, Flair, Brett, Shawn, and them hold, which is the Raw one, and the Universal one, which is the one that was for the longest time on SmackDown, should be held by somebody else. That's just my. Yeah. If you're gonna have the brand split, that's how it should be.
My sentiment is bring back the Winged Eagle belt.
Oh, up to 100%. Because every other thing. Look, you could call me a nostalgia freak, whatever you want. Go for it. I have making no shame. But I'm sorry, the two belts that should be a staple in WWE are the Winged Eagle and the classic Intercontinental Championship belt. I don't like that ugly thing that Gunther is walking around with. I think it's the ugliest thing in the world. When the U.S. Championship looks better than the Intercontinental Championship, there's a problem.
I'll agree there.
The U.S. Championship is the best looking belt in the frigging company, and that's a problem to me.
But anyway, to put kind of a cherry on that, there are people who are debating, should Rhea break up with Dom on screen?
I think so. Yeah, I think she should give him a kick to the groin and call it a day. Kick him in his dum and move on.
But can she then be a heel? Do you turn her babyface? That's the problem. I
think at some point it's coming. She's so over that you can't keep her.
I think that's the issue.
The Undertaker that can walk the line of both and still be cheered. I think when she's being this beloved, you have to turn her babyface. You can still keep her in her goth makeup and all that jazz. Whatever, that's what she wants to do. Fine, cool, right? But I think she's got to go babyface at some point.
By the way, she does a lot of really cool videos on TikTok. I follow her on TikTok, and
the only way to sort of, I think, babyface her though, is you need another woman in the Judgment Day first.
Okay, I would like to see them bring back somebody or. Bring up somebody who could be her physical equal, but at the same, it'd be menacing, And I'm going to say it, and a lot of people are going to roll their eyes. It would be a perfect time if you're going to turn her babyface. A perfect time to bring back Nia Jax, who we know is a powerhouse. And I know a lot of people say, well, she'll hurt her, but I think that would work anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, we talked about a belt. The Intercontinental Championship, and with Gunther against Drew McIntyre and Sheamus.
Yeah, I've never heard slaps that loud. My chest was hurting watching it.
It was a beautiful old school match. It wasn't a lot, flips. You didn't need a lot of
wrestling, folks. This is professional wrestling.
You didn't need garbage outside where everybody was using kendo sticks.
The only thing was missing for me, Donnie, was his name, Lord Alfred Hayes on commentary. If I would have had that, I would have been in nostalgia heaven.
Yeah. But what Adam talked about earlier, they were trading chops.
Oh.
And you could see the welts rising up on their skin.
It looked like their chests looked like a raw steak.
Oh man, it was, and you could hear how into it the crowd was.
Oh yeah, oh wow, yeah.
Because they were appreciating the physicality.
I gotta be honest, I thought Sheamus was gonna win the damn thing.
Well, there was a point where he hit a brogue kick and McIntyre pulled him off, and he did not seem happy about it.
Right. Yeah.
So they exchanged some pretty heavy blows, and Gunther capitalized. Eventually, he powerbombed Sheamus on the McIntyre and scored the pin. And really, Gunther has come a long way from where he was.
No, he's got all the skill in the world, Donnie. No question about it.
Yeah.
But how can I say this politely? He's about as charismatic and entertainment from a personality standpoint as Henry Cavill as Superman in Batman versus Superman.
Uh-oh, you're fighting words.
I mean, like both of them are like plywood in those respective instances.
It's a good thing we're going to turn the comments off because we'd have the whole Snyder Cult
coming
after you.
But literally, like, there's no personality, and maybe that's the thing. Maybe he's doing, a sort of character that doesn't have any personality, but it's just he's got all the in-ring talent.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime he gets on the mic or starts talking, it's like, wake me up when he's wrestling.
I would say that his personality is understated for the type of character he is.
He needs a man. He needs a Paul Heyman, or what's the guy, MVP, somebody like that.
I hadn't even thought about those two together before. That would work, MVP and Gunther. Okay.
You need somebody to talk for him. Because in the ring, he's great.
Too bad you're not getting paid for these booking ideas.
Triple H, call me. Or listen, I'll give you all the booking ideas for free. Have Alexa Bliss call me, and we'll call it there. Or Liv Morgan, or Rhea Ripley, or any. So one of these, have them call me. You can have all my ideas.
I want to hear that conversation. Hey, Adam, I heard you have some good booking ideas. Sorry. Anyway.
That was part Triple H, part Macho Man there.
All right. Did we rate that match?
No, but it's a 4.5 for me.
4.5. Yeah, that I would agree. It was, again,
stiff as hell.
Beautiful old school wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. I could watch that match over and over again.
Mm-hmm. All right, next up
Vince McMahon probably hated it, by the way. Just to throw that out there.
Well, yeah, and the fact that you can tell he's back because they're not saying things like wrestling and wrestlers and hospital on the show anymore.
Go away. Take your money and roll it and go away.
Exactly. Please go make ships and bottles or something. Anyway, so the next up,
kiss my ass club somewhere that nobody can see you. Actually, don't do that. You might end up in jail anyway.
Yeah. Well, supposedly he has a conduct clause.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Endeavor deal at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Raw Women's Championship, Bianca Belair, the EST against Asuka. And I was a little disappointed. Again, I said this earlier in the podcast. I really wanted Rhea versus Bianca, but I thought they made the best of not really having an organic opponent for Bianca. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Asuka. I think she's a great performer, but they had just been spent most of the year as allies.
Yeah.
And earlier on in the year, we saw them wrestle on Raw a couple times.
Right.
So, I thought they made the best of what they had here. I knew Bianca was going to win. Lots of good back and forth here, though. Their styles meshed better than I thought they would. Bianca rolled through a submission attempt and landed a really nice-looking suplex, and they both worked really stiff. She hit a big sit-out power bomb on Asuka at ringside, and eventually...
That was probably my favorite spot, because just the sound of Asuka crashing on the floor was a thud.
So we saw, and there's been some discussion about this too, about Asuka using the Mist as a babyface. They never turned her heel. She's just kind of a crazy babyface. And she tried to use the Mist in the match, and Bianca, knowing her well, ducked the cloud of mist. And eventually she was able to get out of the armbar that Asuka had her in and lift her up for the KOD. Big KOD, by the way, and Bianca gets the win.
I think I thought the finish could have gone either way.
Okay.
Going into the match, I thought, because it has been a full calendar year for Bianca, so I was like, well, they could have her lose it a year after, because not everybody can go on a Roman Reigns, reign, right?
Right.
No pun intended.
Right.
Even though WWE likes to tell everybody's got a record. Bianca's held it for this long, and Gunther is the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in the 21st century. Yeah, okay. How often does he defend the goddamn thing? Like, my thing is these stats of you've been champion for this long. Cool. How often does he defend it?
I will say that I think I heard that she is actually the longest reigning black champion of either gender that
But
they've
she
ever
also
had.
defends it, so that's why.
Well, she is an amazing package of a
Yeah,
performer.
that's
So.
why to me her record is more meaningful because she defends it almost weekly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what would you give the match?
Gunther stands around for 3 out of 4 SmackDowns. He stands around. And, okay, I'm going to defend it now.
I like how you just keeping on criticizing Gunther into this match too. You're like, I'm not done yet.
And because of Roman, I get it, Roman 1,000 days. But how often does Roman defend the damn thing? Like, let's be honest. He's a great performer. The whole bloodline thing is a great angle. But when push comes to shove, in the last 2 years, how many times has he defended that title? They tout that reign as it's as long he's on the list with Bruno Sammartino and Hogan and whoever the hell else is on the list. That's all well and good, but how often does he defend it?
Well, but Bruno didn't defend it back then. Back in the 70s, it would be like once a month.
I'm just saying these numbers mean something to me when the person is defending it on a quasi-weekly basis. So that's my kind of rant.
I can see your point of view. I just think they have to be careful with Roman because he means so much to the company now.
And the mystique of Roman is, he's the he comes in on the premium live events. I get it. I understand that. It's fine. I understand why the finish to the main event was the finish to the main event because they're desperately pushing that 1,000-day reign. Mm-hmm. So I get it. Plus, it pissed off a lot of hardcore Cody people, and that made me smile. It's the same with the Camel.
That's been fun to see those meltdowns.
It's the same as the Camel people, and so when they get screwed over, I kind of smile. Makes me laugh. But so I get it. But those stats mean something. Bianca's stat means more to me than the other two, just because she defends it more often. In regards to this match, it's a 4.5.
Okay, I'm going to give it a solid 4. Nothing wrong with it. I thought they both did their best. I would have preferred a little bit more build up, and I think it could have been handled differently. But
by the way, that entrance that Bianca made with the girls, it broke my heart. The one that was doing all the
we should mention that
when she was contortioning, it broke everything because I'm like, how does that not hurt? But apparently she lost her mother that same day,
and she went out and still did that. That is, if there wasn't a performer on these nights that had intestinal fortitude, it was that little girl.
God bless that little kid.
Exactly. I don't even know how that would feel to lose your parent at that age.
She's certainly got more gusto and spirit than I would because I would have been a wreck and not been able to think straight. Yeah. Let alone go out in front of 80,000 people.
And on top of that, I will say I think Bianca is one of these people, much like John Cena.
Yeah.
Beyond the performer, there's an inspirational person there.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah. So, all right, and yes, God be with that little girl. So next up, we have. I don't even know how to describe this. So we had the Miz initially fighting Shane McMahon, and it ended up being Miz versus Snoop Dogg.
I shouldn't laugh, but the guy comes in. He pulls his. What did he pull? His quad?
He tore his quad in the second move he tried to do.
So he's basically reliving all his father's greatest hits because his father tore his quad getting in the ring too.
Yeah, and his brother-in-law who also tore his quad. So
yeah, but his brother-in-law actually wasn't in ring performer.
Yeah.
The only thing Vince uses is I'm not going to go there, but the only time Vince engages his quads is really when he's engaging in extracurricular activities that he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And so, but just seeing shit, I knew he was injured because he did he kind of told everybody, but
Oh, when he went down, it was pretty obvious.
But I said, for whatever reason, because it's Shane, I kind of laughed. I know I shouldn't, but it is what it is. And he did that ode to his father, where he went down and the way he went in front of the guy, like that was much like what Vince did when he came in the ring and tore his gloves, just by coming in the ring. But then Snoop punched out the Miz, and it was entertaining.
And you know what? And if you've ever listened to any of our podcasts about wrestling, I talk a lot about how I really don't like celebrities getting in the ring at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I can't fault Snoop for what he did here. He had to save that segment.
Yeah.
And he came in and did the best he could. And I don't really like an ex-WWE champion jobbing to a non-athlete, but Snoop did as good of a people's elbow as I think I've ever seen any celebrity do.
That was the funniest thing I've ever seen. That was the funniest thing I have ever seen.
Give the guy credit for being able to perform on the fly.
Right. Snoop is a riot.
Yeah, and like I said, I think he deserves credit for how much he's done for WWE. So
yeah, he's a fan, and he's got the clout in terms of a fan base to kind of push it to the mainstream, which is cool.
But this is another thing I don't think because it wasn't really a match.
It was a match. We're not going to rate
Shane McMahon hurting himself and then Snoop Dogg trying to save that air.
But it was funny. It was hilarious.
Oh boy! So, all right. Next up, we have the Hell in a Cell match: the Demon Finn Balor versus Edge. And wow, was this was dark, both from a storytelling point and from the amount of blood that got spilled during this.
Yeah, I mean, John Moxley was getting excited over all that blood.
Good one, yeah.
Yeah. I got to say, I love the entrances. Edge for about 5 seconds, bringing back the Brood Edge, right?
Yeah.
It was really cool. And it's worth noting that, speaking of vampires and Brood and Edge once being a vampire, I don't know if you know this, but Sarah Michelle Gellar was in attendance at WrestleMania. She was a guest of Alexa Bliss. Yes. She was a guest of Alexa Bliss. So you got to click the pen for the
exactly where you were going.
Another Multiverse Wife Hall of Famer, but it's cool that Buffy the Vampire Slayer was in attendance while Edge was playing a vampire. That's probably why he kept the gimmick going for about 5 seconds. Well, but it was a cool callback. It was a cool callback.
Yeah.
And then Balor, I like the Demon. Yeah.
Balor actually got opened up during the match, and they had to kind of cut away because Peacock doesn't want blood.
Yeah.
Like that. And from what I heard, it was a pretty bad cut, but you really couldn't tell because he had on the red face paint.
Yeah. And I like that Demon persona.
Yeah, I thought it worked well here.
I think, correct me just before we get back into the match, but have Finn and Bray ever had a storyline?
I have to go back and think. I don't think they have.
Finn as the Demon, not as Finn Balor, but as the Demon.
Right. I don't think we ever saw
that should be a storyline because
the Demon versus the Fiend,
supernatural. LA Knight does not belong with Bray Wyatt. The other guy, what's his name? Bobby Lashley does not belong with Bray Wyatt.
I think Bray Wyatt just needs to come back as the Fiend. I don't think what he's done since he's come back has worked. So.
I think it's the Fiend against, back in the day would have been Undertaker or now against the Demon. None of this. He doesn't belong. If you're gonna have Bray do the Fiend or the Funhouse gimmick, you need another supernatural person in there.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it doesn't work. Okay. Just make Bray Wyatt the deranged uncle from the Louisiana swamp again, if there's nobody else.
One spot I got to call out here was when Finn jumped to like the little catwalk type thing that they had on the cage, and then tried the coup de grace through on the Edge, who was on a table, and he ended up jumping through the table. That couldn't have felt good.
That was insane. Yeah, that was crazy. And even when Edge kind of tied him inside, like tied him up against the cage.
Yeah, with the kendo stick. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Although I have to ask, that was another weird looking spot when Edge got those out from under the ring. I was like, why are there kendo sticks under the ring? What could the ring crew possibly have? What are they doing with kendo sticks? Are they going to get mad at each other after the event and kick the crap out of each other?
Tweezers, pliers, I could see.
Yeah.
But kendo sticks?
Yeah, and it was a pile of them. It was like 3 or 4 of them. He just grabbed from under the ring, and I was like, "Why are those there?"
What's next? They're gonna have a katana sword underneath there. Yeah, because why not? Weaponry from feudal Japan, sure. But it was a brutal match. I think it needed to be for the payoff for this particular storyline because for months and months, Finn has been a thorn in Edge's side, and how the rivalry's gotten personal with by bringing in Beth Phoenix at times. So I needed that physicality, that violence, and that spot with the coup de grace through the table was pretty intense. That was probably my favorite spot of the match.
I think the spot that I'm going to remember most from this feud, not this match, but when Beth Phoenix did the glam slam onto Dominic, and
was the best.
Which number one shows you just how strong she is. But when she put him up and he goes, mommy!
Yeah. There's something to be said about watching Dom Mysterio get beat up. It's just so fun.
He does his job well.
Yeah.
He plays that type of heel, and he makes you want to see him get beat up. So
I think eventually he's going to turn, but I don't think
I don't think they don't need to do that right now. There's so much they could
but
still
down the road. I think they will.
Yeah, let this character cook.
But eventually, I could see the Judgment Day turning on him, and then maybe Ray makes the big save. Like Ray comes in and saves his son. I think that's the ultimate end game down the road.
Mm-hmm. So this match ended with Edge used the kendo stick, the steel chair, and eventually a concerto to beat Balor. And I'm assuming that this means that I've heard that Edge might take time off. I'm not sure if that's true, but that is kind of the end of this feud with Edge and against the Judgment Day.
Yeah, it would make sense. I mean, what more is there left to do?
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like it's all about the Judgment Day versus the LWO now, which is
So what would you give this match?
A solid 4.5.
Likewise, I mean it was what the Hell in a Cell match is supposed to look like. It's supposed to be the end of a feud. Like I really don't like some of the Hell in a Cells over the years. It was like, what was it, Big Show and Vince and Shane against DX. I'm like, that's not what.
Yeah, what for?
Yeah, that's not what that match is supposed to be for. It's supposed to be the big end of a feud.
Yeah, I agree.
So, next up, the big one. Cody Rhodes against the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. And what can we say about this match? It has caused a lot of controversy because it's seemingly Cody Rhodes has been, ever since he came back, he's been on track to win the WWE Championship. And by the way, I'm like you. I still think he might very well
win. He'll get there, I think, at some point.
But he didn't on this night.
It's about like so many people inside the wrestling business, including Paul Heyman, Eric Bischoff, and others, have pointed out that in the case of Cody Rhodes being so over right now, if he would have beaten Roman at WrestleMania, well, it's all well and good. Everybody's happy because, hey, the dream is fulfilled. The story is, he's finished the story. Great. Here's the issue. Who's his next challenger? Who does WWE have that's going to now be Cody Rhodes' challenger? Mm-hmm. Name me a heel that they have that could fill that.
Well, see, I thought it might be Solo Sikoa, but then, they had Solo lose to him on Raw leading up to WrestleMania. So that takes that away.
Would you then, had they gone with that, right? Had they gone with Solo versus Cody, you're going to have him lose at Backlash? Does that make sense? He just won it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have him lose a Backlash, right? The idea is that once Cody gets it, that he's gonna carry it for a good nice run, right? So if that's the case, you have to have a heel that can go with him for a good, half a year, 3 months, half a year, whatever. Solo, I don't think is there yet. So who's the heel that can do that?
Yeah,
Miz is getting beat by Snoop Dogg, so he's not the guy.
Now, I need to ask this question now. So the referee ejected Solo Sikoa for using the weight belt because he whipped Cody.
Yeah.
I'm like, now wait a minute. We just saw.
Yes, but again, when it's Dom getting beat up by his father, it's okay.
It's okay.
When
Is
a
that
kid
actually
gets
written
that,
into the
when a
WWE
kid
rule
gets
book?
that unruly, you see, and doesn't know to respect his elder and his father and his mother. I love how child abuse is okay if it's a WWE ring, but as soon as we step outside, it's fun. It's funny how we all cheer, but then, oh my God, somebody grounded their child? No, that's going to scar them for life. We can't do that.
You know what I really love about Dominic's persona is that for weeks he was just like, hit me. Come on, Dad, hit me. You're a coward if you don't hit me. Then when his dad finally hits him, he was like, I can't believe you hit your kid.
I was taking it easy on you. I didn't want to hurt my father.
That's awesome. We also saw the brand new tag champs show up to neutralize the Usos, who we knew would be a presence in this match.
Yeah, you knew there was going to be interference of all kinds in this match. I think, and that's why I'm okay with. There's 3 reasons I'm okay with the outcome. First, because it makes sense that it's all about the chase. So the longer you can prolong that, the payoff is going to be even bigger. Like if you're trying to make if SummerSlam is your number 2 event, that you're trying to get on par with WrestleMania, right? Mm-hmm. Then wouldn't it be great from the storyline perspective if Cody overcame a couple of obstacles in between now and SummerSlam to eventually get the title?
Well, he's got a really big obstacle looking him in the face right now.
Right. So that's one reason I'm okay with it. The second reason I'm okay with it is because there was a point in the match where the ref was incapacitated and Cody had Reigns beaten. Mm-hmm. So you now have that. Cody cannot come out and say, I had you beaten. I had you. The ref was out, or otherwise I had you. And the other thing Cody could say is, all your stooges came in and interfered in the match. That's why you beat me. You didn't beat me clean, right? So Cody can hang his hat on that going forward.
Cody hit 2 crossroads and seemingly had the title in his grasp, and then there was interference by Heyman, and eventually Solo Sikoa came back behind the referee's back, hit the spike, and Roman Reigns hit the spear. 1, 2, 3.
So that's reason number 2 that I'm okay with it. Reason number 3 is like I've pointed out. There is a segment of Cody fandom that is as bad as and insufferable as Calvo fandom, where it's all going to be him. It's him or bust. That's all I care about. And so when they don't get what they want, that makes me happy. Call me the villain. Call me what you want. When those 2 groups are unhappy, Adam is happy. So there it is. That's not reason number 3. I think he's probably going to get it. I think Cody's going to win in SummerSlam. I think that's the angle they're going for.
By the way, I also follow Roman Reigns on TikTok. He did a TikTok. He did a TikTok after the match where he just walks by a camera and he goes, "Sometimes the bad guys win."
It's true. But so those are the reasons why I think it works. I think. But I think, like you said, Cody had a lot of chances where it looked like he was going to win. So the suspense of, they did a good job of playing. Okay, now's the time he's going to get the 3 count. Now's the 3 count, and Roman will kick out. So there's that. So I like the way that pulled off. There was also the family angle where you saw Brandy there, and you saw he gave the weight belt to. Come on, dude. What's the guy?
-1, the son. Yes.
Yeah, of Brody Lee. Okay.
Brody Lee. Yeah.
Who, by the way, in matter of respect, rest in peace, was a Lee fan, and I got nothing but respect for him for that. I mean, he had good taste in hockey teams. I'll tell you that. So that was a nice moment, you know. So there was a lot of great moments in this story, in this particular story being told in this match. So I was happy with the outcome. I thought it was a great match, a solid match. There was one of the reasons I liked it so much is because it didn't go the way I assumed it was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And had it gone the way everybody would have wanted, would there have been a lot of people happy? Yes. But there would have been an equal number of people saying, "Oh, that was the most predictable main event in WrestleMania history."
Yeah. My friend and I, when we were watching it, we looked at each other when the pin happened. We were like, wow, because everything had been pointing to a Cody win.
Yeah, exactly.
And they subverted our expectations.
That was the surprise, right? So my thing is, let the story play out. Because, again, I think it's going to happen. Now the question becomes is, like I said before, the chase, overcoming the obstacles leading up to when Cody does win it is going to be important. One of those things is Brock Lesnar. And now Brock Lesnar turned on Cody the Monday after. Now, the interesting thing about that is, I don't think anybody saw that coming, but by the same token, did we actually think that tag match was going to happen when two of the guys in that tag match barely wrestle on Monday nights anymore?
Yeah. I really liked, my favorite part of that was right after Brock hit the first F5 and everybody was like, what's going on? Brock looked at Solo and was like, you know what? This doesn't involve us. Let's go.
Yeah.
We're out.
Roman and Solo were like, you know what? Let's just leave. We're out.
Exactly.
So that's going to be interesting. That's an interesting wrinkle. The other thing that I'm looking forward to, and hear me out on this. This goes to the long term. I don't know if you saw SmackDown last night.
I did.
Okay, so at the end where
I know what you're talking about. I think
where Heyman and the Usos and Solo were talking to Sami, and in 2 weeks there's going to be the rematch or whatever. I still think Sami and Thing are going to go over, right? But when Paul Heyman was talking to Sami and Thing, saying, you're going to lose your titles, and the Tribal Chief is getting really upset or annoyed with you. He's pointing at Sami and Kevin,
but he was behind the Usos.
Yeah, and he's looking at the Usos.
Yeah.
So I think the Usos are going to lose again, and Sami and Kevin are going to retain. But I think there's going to be a build of more frustration and screw-ups by the Usos and frustration with Roman. I think eventually Jay's going to snap and turn on Roman.
Could it be both of them?
I think Roman is, because one brother is going to go with the other one. So Jay will ultimately go with the other one. But I think Jay is going to cost Roman the match at SummerSlam to Cody.
I would love to. I want to see those. I want to see those two wrestle again. I love the beginning of the Bloodline.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be for a title match though, because then here's
That's
why.
Fine.
I mean, it could be like they could build a story where in between Cody winning it, there's a moment where Jay has it just to take it off of Roman. But here's the problem: if Jay turns babyface, do you want to have him fight another bit? Like, what's the bit? Why are we doing babyface Cody versus babyface Jay? It doesn't make sense. That wouldn't. The only way that match works would be if Cody turns, and I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Do we eventually see some match between Solo and Roman against the Usos?
Oh, I could see that for sure. Yeah,
that'd be interesting. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's all leading to whenever Cody does win, there's going to be some planned interference where the Usos are supposed to help Roman, but Jay turns on Roman. That's where I think this is going.
I saw a video this week. It was a one of those fictional dream matches. It was Superman versus Roman Reigns, and it listed Superman's powers. Super strength, super speed, freeze breath. Heat vision, and it listed Roman Reigns' superpowers. Samoan.
Well, listen, then The Rock can come in and he can finally have that match against Superman that he wanted, because it's not happening.
I almost expected that. I thought Roman was going to be going up the ramp, and here comes The Rock and say, "No, you need to restart the match" or something like that. I was waiting for something else to happen.
I think at some point, The Rock is going to come back at some point and face.
I don't think Rock is much like Cena. We're going to see The Rock one more time have a big send off,
and I think it's going to be against Roman. I think that
would make sense.
We're going to hear weeks and months of the hierarchy of the bloodline is going to change and blah 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 blah, and then they're going to. But it's going to be at some point when Roman doesn't have the title, because there's no point.
Yeah.
So after Roman loses the title, probably to Cody, then you're going to see the Monday after, The Rock's going to come and say, there's going to be a whole thing. The bloodline is going to be in disarray. Jay fighting with Roman and Solo, and The Rock is going to come to help the Usos. That's how I think it's going to play.
Yeah, that could be. By the way, I saw a video this week too of some of the time. Not all of these made the air. All the times that Sami Zayn cracked up the bloodline,
it's hilarious,
including Solo. there was some handheld footage of him cracking up Solo Sikoa.
I gotta be honest, he's just so good. Like, I hate to admit my enjoyment of fans of the Montreal Canadiens, but Sammy and Kevin are really doing the job right now. I wish they, the big turn that I would have wanted is for them to come out in Leaf jerseys. That would have really put them over in my book. But,
yeah, for you it would have. Yeah. I still think they missed an opportunity by not having Roman come out in Montreal. That was
great, especially because we kicked Montreal's ass that night hours before, which was great. But it never happened.
If he'd have gotten in the ring and said Montreal acknowledged the Leafs, man, that
would have been the promo of WWE history, best promo ever. Would have been right up there with the Dusty Rhodes speech about the working class and all that jazz, right? So. But yeah, overall, I thought the match was really good. Like I said, there were enough times where, you thought, here comes the 3 count for Cody, and then it was the big swerve. So it was a match that ended in a way that I did not expect and had me on the edge of my seat. Mm-hmm. So for all those reasons, I got to give it a positive. I think it was a good decision. Now, we'll see how they go in terms of where does this all lead, because if it's going to be a year-long wait between this WrestleMania and next for Cody to win the belt, I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I think
is the interest still going to be there, or is it going to have flamed out if they wait that long?
Get it to SummerSlam. The longest you can let it ride, I think, would be the Survivor Series, but anything beyond that is pushing it too long. So that's my concern. It would be, let's see how it finishes now. I think you've got to put it on Cody at some point, because you've built yourself into that.
He sold the most merchandise that weekend. I did see that.
Yeah, so you've got to put it on him at some point. And you can't wait too long, because I think, like you said, people are going to get fed up if you wait too long and probably lose interest. But so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and wait for the storyline to play out before getting all enraged. Because everybody's hinted, like Triple H, Paul Heyman, they've all hinted that, that's the end game. Just let us get there.
Right. They obviously have this planned out. And the thing, the bloodline is just, it's been so magical. If it's going to come to an end, I'm sure they want to do it the right way and make sure that they get the most out of it.
Yeah. Because it's been one of their best built storylines in years.
Exactly, yeah. And not just the bloodline themselves, all the people that they've feuded with, people like Sami and Kevin Owens. It's had a positive effect for so many people.
Yeah, absolutely. If Sami wasn't part of this storyline, he'd still be in stupid gimmick matches.
Right.
I mean, jackass.
Yeah. Compare his main event tag match to what he was in last year, and there's no comparison.
Yeah. So
last year was a joke. This year was memorable.
So I'm going to give this match a 4.5.
Likewise. It was awesome.
And maybe the payoff between Cody and Roman is a Hell in a Cell. Who knows?
That could be. That's the kind of match you actually put in a Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Slam. Hell in a Slam. Hell in a Cell and SummerSlam. Book it. Come on, Triple H. I'm giving you free ideas, all kinds. I bet you Bruce Pritchard hasn't given you this many good ideas in the last couple months. And here I have in 2 hours. So, yeah, that's my rating, 4.5. Overall, great. Both solid 2 nights. And I really had fun. Another strong WrestleMania.
I was a little melancholy when it was over because there had been such a good build towards it.
Yeah.
And when it was over, I was like, yeah, and Raw was entertaining. And it really was shocking to see Brock use Cody Rhodes like a wrestling buddy.
I thought, it's great. I didn't think that match was going to happen, but I didn't expect Brock to turn because
he went at it for like 10 minutes.
All the dirt sheets were like, Brock's leaving.
Yeah.
So I expected Brock to, eventually leave. Well, here we are. He's going to probably be a Backlash fighting Cody.
That should be an interesting match, though. Hopefully,
Cody will go over. Yeah.
I expect Cody to win, but I hope their styles mesh well.
But that's the thing. Brock can wrestle when he wants to. Like, he can throw people around, but he can wrestle too.
Yeah. So I want to see it. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. But
well, you know what? This is the 4th one of these we've done.
Yeah. Well, there we go. And and we're gonna make this some more. Like we said, we're gonna do more wrestling vidcasts and podcasts this year. So we've done pretty good this year so far. So we'll keep it rolling with that. Last year we only did 1, I think, or 2. So we're on a better roll this year so far than we were last year. So.
By the way, go back and listen to our old WrestleMania podcast. We had fun every time.
Yeah. We love pro wrestling as much as we do superhero comics. So
one last thing, not that he's ever going to hear this, but get well, Kofi.
Yeah,
Cody too, but Kofi specifically because he had a bad ankle injury with a missed spot. So.
Yeah, so hopefully
his ankle. I saw the picture of his ankle, and it was brutal. So he's still healing.
Hopefully he's on the mend, and we'll be back soon. But Xavier Woods is holding down the fort. Hopefully we can get Big E healthy again. And
his career's still up in the air too. That's a really sad
thing.
I
don't know if he'll ever be back in the ring, but. Just back on the show in some capacity.
Yeah, exactly. I still, if he wants to be involved with WWE going forward, a guy who's that charismatic, they should find a place for him.
Yeah, so we'll see. But we'll cover some more pro wrestling, both WWE and AEW. Whenever AEW does their next big pay-per-view, we'll cover that. We're going to be doing some more wrestling, so stay tuned for that. But in between now and our next wrestling show, if you want to talk wrestling with us, you can on social media. Donnie, where do they track you down?
You can find me on Twitter and YouTube, both as the Emerald Enthusiast. And as long as it lasts in the U.S., you can also find me on TikTok as the Emerald Enthusiast. Let's talk comics. Let's talk collectibles. Let's talk pro wrestling. Let's talk Green Lantern.
And if you want to find me on social media, it's at Adam_LeafsFan on Twitter. The podcast network has its own Twitter page at MMNPDC. We have a Facebook group, which is listed in the link in the description below. The link is. Click that. I'll add you. We can continue the conversation there. But until next time, remember that WrestleMania is forever. From the first year to the 39th and beyond. So long, everybody.
Bye.